people of Ghana, it's a Nigerian Get Pleasure bringing you political news in our channel, Ghanatube. Here is the recent happenings in Ghana. Please watch.
We can now continue with the correction of votes and proceedings. Any more correction on page 1?
So we've just been bringing you a live coverage of how the Speaker of Parliament has also just been referring the first set of ministerial appointments, or nominees, I should say, from the presidency to the Appointments Committee. And then he just took a short leave from Parliament. And then we have the first Deputy Speaker sitting in and also chairing the proceedings in Parliament. Now, let's get to know who the Appointments Committee, who make up the Appointments Committee. And we have Honorable Bernard Ahiafo, who you've just seen in Parliament chairing the proceedings now, and he's the chairman of the Appointments Committee. We also have Honorable Emmanuel Amakofi-Boa, who is the vice chairperson. We also have Honorable Kwame Governs Agboja as a member of the committee. We have Honorable Mahama Ayariga, he is just a member of the committee. Honorable Agnes Na Momo Latte, also a member. Honorable Shaibu Mahama as well. Honorable Alasa Umar, a member as well. And also the current minority leader, Honorable Alexander Afenyo Markin, ranking member. We've got Honorable Patricia Pieje, deputy ranking member as well. Honorable Frank Ano Dompre, a member. And also Honorable Patrick Yabuama, a member of the committee. So these 11 persons make up the Appointments Committee, to which the nominees shall be referred to for vetting. Now, let's go on Zoom now. We've been joined by Professor Lord Mensah. He's a financial economist and executive director of the African Center for Investment and Advisory and Sustainable Finance. And we want to understand how he feels about the set already, and particularly the name that has been put out by the president for the Finance Ministry particularly. Thank you for joining us, Prof. And what do you make of the list, first of all?
Yes, for me, I think I will start with the Finance Minister designate, which is Honorable Akufo-Addo. I mean, he comes with a lot on the table, let me put it that way. Looking at his experience as Deputy Finance Minister over the years, and, you know, his personality. I mean, I always, you know, talk about, you know, the person, you know, when it comes to an early stage of appointment, because, I mean, the personal behavior normally fits into most of the decisions, I mean, he makes. And then also looking at his background, he's been in the public space for some time. And so he understands, you know, what, you know, the public needs are, I mean, when it comes to allocation. So from where I sit, looking at his personality and then, you know, the certificates he has, I mean, having a PhD in finance from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and then, you know, MSc in taxation and economics. The combination is what Ghana needs now. I mean, I can tell you that this morning we're discussing our tax, you know, revenue and some of the sacrifices government has to make in order to propel businesses, you know, in the country. And at the same time, you know, looking at the cost that will come as a result of the IMF, you know, program that we find ourselves in as we speak now. It is very, very important to have somebody like that, you know, on board. I mean, to help the president. Right. So from where I sit, his public service over the years, and at the same time, education background, and then his personality is more conserved when you look at the way and manner, I mean, he behaves even in public. So, I mean, those are the people we need when it comes to public service. Lifestyle is very, very important. So, for me, I would say, yes, I give the president a thumb up for that nomination.
Okay.
When you talk about the energy sector, it's a very sensitive area. I think at this time, the president would have made a mistake to appoint someone without any experience from that, you know, sector. If you listen to, I mean, Honorable John Jinapop very well, over the past days that, I mean, the transition has been going on, clearly he seemed to have, control over, the happenings in the space. I mean, he even gave a heads up on the current load shedding that we are experiencing. So that tells you that he's someone who has a first-hand information when it comes to, the energy sector. So I would say that, yes, for now, the president has gotten it right when it comes to, and they are very young guys who are very energetic and ready to work. And those are the people we need in the space. And let's see what they comes with, I mean, on the grounds.
Okay. We're excited to hear from you. Now let's move to Nana Amoisi the 7th, Executive Director, Institute for Energy Security. Now, we know that you have been talking a lot mostly about the energy sector. Just yesterday as well, you were telling us how Doomsor is just might be looming again. And also, John Jinapor has also been talking extensively about it. What do you make of the list generally, and particularly him, who's been nominated by the president?
Good afternoon to you once again. And forgive me, I have to park a car and do this from my vehicle. John Jinapor brings a lot of energy to this space. As somebody I've known as always seeking to understand what's happening in the sector. Probably it's because he was in opposition and wanted to be abreast with issues. But that serves him good because that is a learning path for him to propel to different heights. Now that he's been nominated, I think that we cannot fault it. He's fit for that. He's read economics. He's read a bit of finance, as we understand, and a bit of energy economics. In the space of energy, you need an area of field to go through as an experience, because it's not just determined by your knowledge about power and petroleum, but the economics, also the governance structure around it is very important. And we think that the president has made a good choice. Just that we will expect Mr. Jinapor Honorable to deepen his collaboration and engagement, particularly with the civil society organization, so that he doesn't mix things that ordinarily will not pass through his table. On his table, he will be getting feed from all the utilities and the regulators, but there are some aspects that he might miss. And I'm sure he doesn't want to experience what other ministers have gone through, particularly our Honorable Ejakon. And so it is good to start with, but then he must open his eyes wide, and he must be a person that should be seen on the ground at all times. Right.
Now, you have gone ahead to share your expectations. Do you have any comments on the other names that have been shortlisted?
Of course, I can speak to Dr. Kasal Atuforsen,
right?
Somebody we trust so much, and we believe that he has gathered the needed knowledge and understanding to handle a portfolio like the finance ministry. We wish him well, and we want to ask him to collaborate more with the energy ministry, because that is where we have most of the challenges. And if we want to save his money and also suppress the mounting debt in the sector, that's the energy sector, then he should be working more in collaboration with that ministry.
Right. Thank you on that. I'll go back to Professor Lord, and let me take your expectations. You have said that so far the president has gotten it right with the names that have been nominated. But what are your expectations, particularly of Dr. Kasal Atuforsen and the other names that have been listed?
Yes, of course. I mean, we can deduce the expectations from the president's statement. He made mention that, the economy is now open for business. And for an economy to be open for business, we may have to make sure that interest rates comes down. We have to make sure that, interest rate structures also, comes down. And we always rely on Bank of Ghana's Monetary Policy Committee for this. But I can tell you that the fiscal side, which is being handled by the finance minister, is very, very important. I mean, without, very good fiscal, allocations, trust me, whatever the Monetary Policy Committee will be doing will be null and void. So from where I sit, I think, the finance minister, Atuforsen, knows exactly what is at stake. I mean, we have to reorient the economy and shift it to the private man. And the only way the private man can thrive is to have stability in the exchange rate. So that means that his allocations, when it comes to expenditure lines, he has to know where to, push more money and more where to concentrate when he's dealing with the other ministers in terms of, financial resource allocation. So those are my expectations. We need to bring down the economy to the doorstep of the private man so that the private man can help government in terms of employment, and then the country moves on.
I mean, the president has mentioned that he's going to be operating a very lean government and that he's listing it to only 60 ministers or appointees. Now, are you expectant of any deputies at all for these very key areas, particularly finance and energy at all?
Yeah, I won't be surprised to see that in these two sensitive, ministries. But the other ministries, I think we can do with, the substantive minister, and that's it.
Okay. I know that we have at least 3 of them for now, but subsequently, do you have personal names that you think that you should be seen in the subsequent list?
Well, we leave that at the prerogative of the president. He has, the experience. He's been one term before. He knows the people that he's worked with. And I think, going forward, we have to give the space to him to decide on who comes on board.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor Lord Mensah, for joining us today. I'll go back to Nana Moisi if I still have you on the line with me. And I don't know if you also expect deputies at all, especially he's been promising that he wants to operate a very lean government. Are you expecting some deputies for these key and very sensitive areas, finance and energy?
In your own description, you say they are very key and critical. And so knowing the amount of load in the space of energy, both petroleum and power, we'll be glad to see a deputy minister to come and support Mr. John Jinapor, because the load is huge, and so you can't discount that. He will need a substantive deputy as well.
Okay. I have your attention, and so let's take you back to yesterday and the roadmap that we're all expecting from the committee that's been set up. If you didn't have this committee and then this roadmap, you had the opportunity to put a roadmap together, what kind of roadmap are you looking to see, or are you hoping we should have out of this looming doomsday that you and many other stakeholders have mentioned?
Yes, if you watch the energy space, if you are going to take the commentaries of the previous government, you will assume that everything is all right. We can tell you for a fact that everything is not all right. The power sector in particular has become problematic for the entire energy sector. We expect that now that we are going to have substantive ministers in place, a thorough audit of the sector is critical. It is to understand the challenges. It is also to guide policy formulation. It's also to guide financing of the space. And so where we need to start from is first understanding the challenges. And when you understand the challenges, you shape policy in a manner that addresses them. And so the first thing we want to see is a thorough audit of the entire energy sector, particularly the power sector, the elephant in the room. The power sector has become a fiscal burden on the economy. And so we believe that a deeper understanding and investigation into the issues are critical, just to ensure that we move forward from an informed position.
Many have said that nearly $90 million to at least avert the problem in this first quarter is quite a huge amount of money. And this would mean that would have to disadvantage some other sector to be able to raise that amount of money to avert the looming doomsday that we all are hoping not to get into. Do you share the same view?
I don't see it as a huge expense. If you have to compare it to the cost of going through doomsday, where it affects productivity and threatens safety as well. If we don't have enough of power, it is difficult to produce more within your own economy. And that means that your GDP will suffer. And largely, it comes to impact on the economy negatively. So it makes sense to look for money to address this fuel challenge. Thankfully, government have that goodwill, and its neighbors that we saw during the inauguration of the president is quite encouraging. Equatorial Guinea is here. We can rely on them for oil supplies.
Okay.
Nigeria was present. It means that strategically it chose its friends, and I'm sure it can use the goodwill and its credibility to ensure that we get some amount of oil to address the current challenges. It cannot all be money. Your credibility counts, your goodwill counts, and your reputation is critical if you are to start engaging partners.
Right, thank you. At some point, we'll take you back to Parliament, but if you just joined us, here's an update that the President has released his first set of nominees and sent it to Parliament, where the Speaker of Parliament has also forwarded it to the Appointments Committee. Now, let's move on and tell you that the minority in Parliament is demanding immediate and urgent action from President John Mahama to end the attacks on state institutions which have intensified following his inauguration. NDC supporters are alleged to have taken over key state installations and evicting public officers from their official residence. Deputy Minority Leader Patricia Pieje, who addressed journalists in Parliament this morning, recounted a number of such incidences, describing them as completely unacceptable.
Not just those who support his party, the NDC, it is deeply disheartening that in the face of these troubling developments, the President has remained largely silent since taking office. While he had made a general call for calm as President-elect, this is not enough. The President must demonstrate leadership by condemning these acts unequivocally and directing law enforcement agencies to act decisively. The events surrounding the Economic and Organized Crime Office, Yoko, where a statue was vandalized on the day of the President's inauguration,